pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Mayor Chapman's working tonight, and I'll be chairing the meeting this evening. We had the pledge. We'll go out roll call.
Dan Anderson.
Here.
Steve Brockman.
Here.
Stacy DeBold.
Present.
Barb Kirkland. Here. Anthony Luciano.
Here.
And Dan Warren.
Here. We have a full board, less the mayor. Is there any citizens that would like to address the board? Come on up to the podium. State your name, please.
Council, do we need a motion to approve Dan as president tonight?
Probably not a bad idea, is it, to acting chairman?
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Michael Demetrikis. I came here tonight just to speak a little bit about the renewable energy portfolio standard. I work for Legacy Power, and so solar energy is part of the renewable energy standard portfolio. The wind turbines that you have seen are part of that as well. ComEd has been regulated to have 25% of their energy come from renewable energy resources. Of that 25%, 5% of that comes from residential solar panels. And so I went before the police station today to get a soliciting permit, which I'm not quite sure if that would fall under that category or not, since it's regulated by the state. But I went that route to get the permit. It's a 3-day permit that is $50 for 3 days and is not renewable again for another 12 months. So you can see kind of the predicament that causes. Shorewood's a very big village, and to be able to hit the residents in a 3-day period is sort of unlikely to do. So just came before the board to get some advice on how to proceed.
Well, it's our ordinance, and if it's 3 days, it's 3 days. There's not a lot we could do on a spur of the moment or a quick notice like that. I mean, it needs to go in front of our staff, and they'll have to review it, come back with a recommendation. It may need to go to, would probably going to have to go to law enforcement too, Jim?
Well, certainly, I believe there's been some communication thus far, but I think there's an ordinance, if I'm not mistaken, that speaks to that, and if you're inclined, you would need to amend that.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen quick. It's quite a process. So, you know, and it may not even happen. I couldn't even guarantee you that. But all we could do is look at it and go from there.
So in the meantime, for residents that would like solar power, how would I go about?
Well, what were so you went to the PD to get a permit to go door to door?
Yeah, again, I'm not exactly sure if this falls under the soliciting sort of scope, based on it being legislative sort of guidelines. So I just was doing that to sort of make sure all my T's and I's were crossed.
Way.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Dave, do you know if this is? Yeah, it probably does. I don't know if any preemption, you know, dealing with power companies. If there is one, be certainly happy to take a look at it if you can send me some information. But, you know, like you say, that's the ordinance, and, you know, it's just prohibit. It's the only thing that it regulates is door-to-door solicitation. You know, if you have an appointment with somebody, you can certainly keep that or conduct your business in another manner.
What about flyers? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Can't answer that
Okay.
question. I have to take a look at it.
Here's maybe what I would do, okay? Hold off on getting your permit, talk to the council, our council there a little bit, let him kind of look it over and see what he thinks, and maybe he can give you a little advice on how to go forward with it.
Sure.
And then, you know, he can get in touch with our administrator. They could work together, and maybe you could work something out and not have to go have an ordinance change or be amendment. Now, I doubt if that would ever have any legs, to be honest with you, but it's a possibility.
Okay.
Sure. You want to maybe contact
community?
the
Oh,
city
I'm
administrator, and we can take it from there.
I'm sorry.
Have you done this in other communities? I mean, what kind of,
Yeah, so today I actually went to Joliet. I got a soliciting permit. It's $30 for a 12-month period. So that's actually more reasonable as far as being able to do this program for folks that want to get their power. There's funds available for homeowners to get it at no cost. And so it would lower their power bill, and it locks in their rate, and they're able to save the environment a little bit. So.
The ordinance says you only could get a permit once a year?
The Shorewood ordinance says 3 days for a whole calendar year.
So that's all you're allowed to do is for 3 days, according
That's
to what?
correct, sir. Yeah.
I think your best bet is to talk to the village administrator and let him sit down with you and come up with something that could be feasible for you to work with.
Okay.
Like Ian says, we're not gonna be able to solve it here tonight.
I understand that completely. Yep.
I'd be happy to talk to you. If you'd like, you could take my card right here.
Sure.
I'd be happy to talk to you more about this.
Yep. Would I still need to talk to you, Mr. Silverman?
He'll talk to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Thanks. I do see a lot of solar
Sir,
panels
could you-
going up on roofs
Could you
in
spell
town.
your
though.
name for me?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, sir?
But I do see a lot of solar panels getting installed, or, on roofs these days.
Yeah, it's, that 25% threshold and 5% is residential. You're going to continue to see that grow. It started in California, and now new homes being built in California are coming, they have to have solar panels on them.
Okay. All right,
So it's gonna keep going up.
thanks.
Yep.
Is there any other citizens that would like to address the village board?
Ms. Demetriakis, DE,
No. All right, we're going to move on to the consent agenda.
DRA.
First item is approval of the regular meeting minutes of April 23rd,
It's spelled
2019.
just like that.
Yep.
Approval of committee of whole meeting minutes of April 23rd, 2019. Approval in accounts payable in the amount of $959,772.58. Number 4 is approval of a payment in the amount of $35,570.16 to Michaels Corporation for 2018 sanitary sewer cleaning and televising. That's in basin number 3. 5 is approval of the contract extension with Clark Environmental Mosquito Management, Inc. for 2019 to 2021 services. Approval of, number 6 is approval of the final payment in the amount of $20,006.23 to Deconstruction. That's for the Route 52 and Windstone Drive improvements over here. Only other thing I gotta say is on 5 Clark Environmental, that's $3,845 for 6 applications each? That's the amount each, right?
That's
38?
the amount each for each
Yeah.
app,
And
right?
it's six of them.
It depends on the year. Sometimes we've had less, sometimes we've had more.
Okay. Is there anybody else, or any other questions on the consent?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Diane, roll call.
Luciano,
Yes?
Warren,
Yes.
DeBold,
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brockman.
Yes.
Okay, consent agenda is approved. We'll go on to proclamations. Give me 1 minute here and I'll read this. I got it. All right, proclamation, this is Building Safety Month. Whereas the Village of Shorewood is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on safety and economic value of the homes, buildings, and infrastructure that serve our citizens, both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster. And whereas our confidence in the structural integrity of these buildings that make up the community is achieved through devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety professionals who work year-round to ensure the safety construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a U.S.-based organization that brings together local, state, federal officials, are experts in building environment to create, implement the highest quality codes to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, and play. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public that the critical role of our community's largely unknown protectors of safety are local building code officials who assure us safe, efficient, livable buildings that are essential to America's prosperity. And whereas no code, no confidence, the theme for Building Safety Month 2019 encourages all Americans to raise awareness of the importance of safe of resilient construction, fire preservation, disaster mitigation, and new technologies in the construction industry. Whereas each year in the observance of Building Safety Month, Americans are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local building departments, fire prevention bureaus, federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, I, Acting Chairperson Dan Anderson, on behalf of Mayor Chapman of the Village of Shorewood, Illinois, do hereby proclaim the month of 2019 as Building Safety Month. I accordingly encourage our citizens to join with the Village of Shorewood in participation in Building Safety Month activities this month, May of 2019. So, any comments on that one? All right. Got to keep them buildings going and keep them in safe, going good, so we're good with that. Anything else? No? Diane? Election
no.
results.
Election results. The election results from the consolidated election on April 2nd, 2019 were provided to me by the Will County Clerk, Lauren Staley Ferry. She provided me with the abstract of votes, and these are the official results. Steve Brockman, 1,656 votes. Barb Cookie Kirkland, 18,000, sorry.
Wow.
Wow, you've got a lot of votes. Sorry, 1,826 votes. Tony Luciano, 1,610 votes. And Diane Lambert, 2,254 votes. And those are the official results.
All right, thank you. All right, well, and there'll be swearing-ins to be here at the end of the agenda, so. All right, we're gonna move on to item number 1. This is consideration for approval of a proposal for professional engineering services. Yes? Oh, I'm sorry, yep. Sorry, Jim.
It's quite all right.
All right. All right, yeah, we got a couple new people here that, new hires for the Village of Shorewood. Jim Collada, our village administrator, he's gonna introduce them, so it's all your.
Yes, thank you very much. If you wouldn't mind just kind of stepping to the podium really quick, want to introduce 2 new department heads that just recently joined the village here in the past few weeks. First is Kelly Chrissy. She is our Economic Development Director, and she will be leading our Community Development Department. And next we have John Komorowski, and he will be leading our Building Services Department. I think what they have in common is a great deal of experience. And I think I can speak for staff that we're very excited to have them here to join our team and to work with all of you in the years to come.
All right.
Good. Welcome.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. What do you guys think of that? Wait a minute, don't walk away yet. Hang on a second. So what do you think about the town here and the new, your new job so far?
Well, I have to say there's a lot of opportunity, and I hope to help bring that to fruition. So we're excited, and I don't mean to speak for John, but I think that, there's a lot of great things happening, and I think that we can help kind of bring more exciting things to Shorewood.
Okay, good. Hope we're all successful. John?
Looks like it's going to be a very busy summer for us, so.
All right, well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go on to number 1 now. Sorry about that. Consideration for approval of a proposal for professional engineering services with RJN Group for a 2019 manhole rehabilitation bid package and construction oversight. This is in Basin 5. Chris Dray.
Thank you, Trustee Anderson. This is the next basin that we had identified with our flow monitoring that we needed to address. This is for manhole rehabilitation, as Trustee Anderson mentioned, with the construction oversight. We've got about 260 sanitary manholes that need various types of repair work. We've got a lot of leaks in a lot of the structures, and we'll start there. And this is just a continuation and the first part of our I&I for the year. And as I mentioned, we do have construction oversight. Last year, we had Ron Olson from Christopher Burke looking over the project, but this year we'll have RJ since Ron's departed, so.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, this is a pretty good, pretty good part of the community of Shorewood. It's pretty much just south of Jefferson Street, all the way to Sile Road, a little bit south of Sile Road in a couple of spots, and all the way east to the Dupe. It's a pretty good area. There's a lot of work there, so it's a.
Well, they'll put the bid package together, and we'll hopefully go out to bid in the next month here and bring you a contractor at that point.
In the packet I did, or in the bid amount, it was not to exceed $52,250 for this. If anybody has any other comments. Send it to bid. You want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion for approval of a proposal for professional engineering services with RGN Group of the 2019 manhole rehabilitation bid package and construction oversight services for basin number 5.
Second. Diane, roll call?
DeBold,
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Kirkland.
Yes.
And Brockman.
Thank you.
Okay, item 1 is approved. Number 2, discussion of Coldwell Banker sign variance request. Rod Tonelli, our interim public, or our economic development person.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. I'll give a brief overview of the petition and what's transpired at the Plan Commission, and let you know as well that Ed Hartzell is here. He's the sign agent on this project, and Mr. Pradell is here as well from Coldwell Banker, and I believe they both would like to speak to you tonight as well, too. So you obviously have in your packets the staff report and then the memo summarizing the discussion that was at the Plan Commission, but maybe I'll just highlight and then give you an opportunity if you have questions for staff or something you'd like to discuss with us before the petitioners may come up. The request here is for a series of variances, and the intent of the variances is to construct one multi-tenant sign that was originally proposed at 22 feet 2 inches tall on Route 59. Essentially, it's a sign for Coldwell Banker Honig Bell, includes an electronic message board, and then 2 other additional tenant spaces. The intent of the sign is to advertise the strip building that's on Lot 5. So Lot 4 of this subdivision, Crossroads Business Park, is the bank property at the corner of Capista and 59, and immediately behind it is a strip mall building. That's where Matt Hadget's located, Salon Platinum, and then Coldwell Banker's offices. And as you'll recall, years ago when it was originally built, Macaulay Real Estate had occupied that space. So we're all thinking about the same place. So in general, and I can speak to this as being a tenant or being an owner in the building behind that, Capista Drive does have some difficulty being located sometimes. It's not a very well-defined street. And as the Coldwell Banker operation's been there, they have, based on the realtor agent's reports to management, had difficulty directing clients to get back there. And the question essentially has been what could be done. So Mr. Pradell had talked to the bank and has gotten agreement to secure an easement to allow him to construct this sign. As staff analyzed it in the context of both the code and what's happening on those sites, there's a number of things that we raised concerns about. First, your ordinance expressly prohibits off-premise signs, and it defines that as a sign advertising business or activities that aren't conducted on the property where the sign's located, right? So this sign's advertising businesses and activities on a different lot than where the sign is actually located. We know what the height limit is for a multi-tenant sign. That's 20 feet. This is just over. Mr. Hartzell did say at the Plan Commission he can modify it to bring it down to 20 feet if the height variance was an issue. And then we have the electronic message board, which again our code is not clear on how we regulate those, and our precedent has been to either give a variance to allow them with conditions on how they operate, or to include them in a PUD or some other mechanism by which you're officially approving them. So that's the nature of that request. Where the signs are proposed to be located is kind of towards the southern portion of the frontage of Lot 4. And it's actually closer to the Speedway entrance than it would be to Capista Drive. When the Crossroads Business Park was originally subdivided, there was an easement from Speedway granted to that property so that they could share that access. And then the bank was built. It was the first development to happen there. There was not a connection between the bank and the strip building lot on Lot 5. When Lot 5 was brought in for its site plan approval, staff at the time said, can we make a connection between those two so that people can navigate between the two commercial properties? So that's how we end up having a route from Route 59 through Speedway, through the bank, and back into the strip mall. That route was not intended to be a principal drive route for people to leave Route 59 and access that back parcel. And the concern that we've raised is that where the location of the signs proposed, it will encourage people to use the Speedway entrance to get back to the strip building that houses Caldwell Banker Honig Bell. There is not a cross-access easement in place that we've been able to identify across the bank to the strip building. So that's a missing piece of that equation as well. As the Plan Commission reviewed it and debated it, and you have our memo summarizing that discussion, generally they, I think, discussed it in terms of the same concerns. They did have some open discussion about alternatives, and one of the discussions or alternatives that was suggested and discussed was that the sign perhaps could be supported, but it needed to be in a better location. The location suggested was at the hard corner of Capista and 59. Kelly did some digging in the files, and we went back and kind of tried to identify what the history of the signage was for the subdivision. Mr. Hartzell had indicated at the Plan Commission meeting, and to me in prior discussions, that there had at one time been a multi-tenant proposal for a sign to go on the hard corner. And we did find that. It took some digging. And there's a couple references to it. There's actually a sign design. It was a shorter sign, but it would have had multi-tenants on it. And there was a memo from staff way back in the early 2000s when that was done to the Plan Commission at the time, talking about that sign. And this would be at the northwest corner of Capista and 59. Looked out there, there's some landscaping. There's also a landscape easement that was put on the plat. So there's a couple, pieces that suggested that it was clearly the intent of Capista and Gregory when they did that subdivision to have a sign out on the corner so that the tenant spaces that weren't fronting on 59 could have some exposure to that intersection. So it's consistent with what they're struggling with right now in that building in terms of visibility of 59. So the Plan Commission, again, encouraged to look at that as an alternative. With regard to the variance requests that were before them, they did make a recommendation to deny, and there was a 6-1 vote for that recommendation to deny. So that's what's brought before you. Follow-up conversations we had, I guess, at staff level is I think there's a few options you have tonight that I outlined at the back of your memo. You could certainly accept that recommendation of the Plan Commission and deny the petition as presented. You could approve the petition and direct staff to go ahead and prepare an ordinance and advise us on what conditions you would like included in there. Or you could table it and provide direction to the applicant on how they might modify the petition in a manner that might be acceptable. We did outline some conditions that staff felt was important if the petition was approved, and these were presented to the Plan Commission. One deals with the operation of the electronic message board. In the last couple of years, you've had a couple of these. You'll see them outlined in the staff report, which just controls the timing and the activity that's happening in the electronic space to minimize any negative impacts to driver safety and illumination issues. Second condition was that The village, I would ask that the applicants provide a copy of their lease agreement or easement agreement that they would be getting from the bank to construct the sign in the location, so that it could be reviewed by village staff and the village attorney to make sure that it is providing appropriate language for construction and for maintenance and for any liability issues, again, of someone building a sign on somebody else's property and how that gets dealt with in the future. As I indicated, there's that missing cross-access, so if this was approved, we would suggest a condition that there be a cross-access easement in place across Lot 4 to Lot 5. And finally, the last suggested condition was the submittal of a landscape plan to accompany the sign for any modifications that were going to happen there. So, be happy to answer any questions. I know I went through that relatively quickly. Hopefully that gave you a good overview of what the request was and the discussion at the Plan Commission
Rodney,
was.
first thing, when I was looking at this last night, I said the same thing. Why isn't this being put on the corner? And, because where it is, if I was driving by and didn't know the area, I would be saying, well, where the heck is this thing? I can't, it's lost, I'm lost, I can't find this.
But the corner,
So
the
if it was
corner
at
he's
the
referring
corner-
to is the Dunkin' Donuts corner, not the
Capista?
bank corner.
It's not the,
So
not on
I
the
think,
bank
if I'm
corner?
not mistaken, in previous discussions, the original ordinance for the sign was actually the Dunkin' Donuts side, not
That's
the
The
bank
north, so
side.
the northwest
Northwest
corner
corner,
of that
not-
intersection.
The original, that is correct, Mr.
why
Ryan.
don't we have an option for it to be on the southwest corner?
It could be an option to be discussed with the bank. They have their monument sign and flag standards and stuff just to the south of there, so it would be somewhat busy, but it could be looked at. Again, the intention that the original subdivider had when Capista and Gregory did this was to look at that, what you call the Dunkin' Donuts corner, right, the northwest corner, and there's clearly a space that was set aside to do that in and an easement for landscaping. Doesn't say signage, but you can tell looking at the drawings and looking at the memos, but that was the intention. There's actually a,
Is that not reasonable now to put it on the north side then, or?
I think it is, but obviously that's in ownership by somebody different. We have not been able to track down that there was any covenant or right that was created that allowed the other property owners to the west.
So
to
there
erect-
obviously has been
so
some
there'd be si-
communication with the bank and
Similar-
and these guys in the village. So is it possible to move it on the southwest corner?
I'll let them speak to that question relative. It's really a question to the bank. I think it's congested. I don't know that it's not possible. We'd need to analyze that. The bank, from what I was told, was not interested in that when I suggested that as a location. Again, we have the bank's other monument sign right there. Those all could be incorporated. That's another option. I don't think the bank wants to lose its independent sign, though.
Well, no, it'd have to be all incorporated, otherwise it wouldn't look right, so.
So again, I just wanted to reiterate that the thought of this multi-tenant sign is not foreign to that corner. It was, I guess, present from day one when the original subdividers thought of having those back parcels, right, and wanting to have a sign. But again, it was envisioned on the northwest corner. There's a space for it. That's the logical space. It just then is less a Caldwell Banker sign and more of a development sign, right, if it goes into that space, so.
Case, Rod, it would not be on the property. It would be on someone else's property, no matter where it's located. Is that true?
Correct. Yes.
If I could just add, the way the agenda's posed tonight, we're really just going to have some discussion and some direction. It's really not up for a vote tonight.
I would say what number 3, the option here, have him work it out with them, come up with options that they could agree with. Obviously, you've already talked to them, so you've got you're halfway down the road already.
Yeah, nothing more than just the general suggestion that we think it would be better in that other location. And obviously, that's dependent on another property owner that has not been part of the conversation. right? That would need to grant that easement. So no one here tonight, I don't think, could speak to whether or not, that's able to get done, but that would certainly be I think staff would be able to be supportive of the sign if it was in that location.
Yeah, and we certainly want to help them out, but by the same token, there's ordinances that we want it to fit into, and by working with the staff, you could probably come up with something for them.
Well, would that then open it up for, like, you to be put on the sign as well? Like everybody that's back behind there?
Yeah,
would
that's
be in?
something that we would need to work.
No, there's a lot more to
Work
it than
through,
if it
yes.
moves and.
So I think, yes, we'd have to talk through that with Mr. Pradell and Ed Hartzell and figure out how that gets accomplished. So I don't know the answer exactly. I think there's an approach we could take to see who's interested in participating in the sign, right? Or if we can come up with the designs like it would have normally been in a multi-tenant situation, planned for a number of spaces. But that's something we haven't talked specifically about.
How many businesses are actually back there that would have to be involved in it?
Well, within Mr. Pradell's building itself, there's currently 3. In the building behind it, there's currently 3. You have the Rhino baseball building proposed behind that, and then Mr. Perino Jr.'s building has 3 or 4 tenants in it right now.
So
There's
they're
still 2 more,
actually
and there's
looking-
still 2 more vacant lots.
They're looking for a larger sign than what would accommodate 9 companies back there for
And I
themselves.
think, I wouldn't think all would want to participate. And I don't think you could design a sign that could accommodate all the potential occupants of all those properties. So we just need to kind of work through that and see what would make sense.
Can we put something together and get it back to us in 2 weeks at the committee of the whole? Got enough time, or?
Really depends, I think, on if they're wanting to look at the alternative and, if that property owner's open to that conversation.
What do you gentlemen think?
I'm not Pradell, I'm one of the owners of the building, my kids are the other owners.
Yeah, come on up here, would you please?
Yes. We bought this building from Macaulay. When we bought this building, on the survey, it showed a sign for us on the northwest corner in front of the Dunkin' Donut. We never had a new survey done because there was stuff that had been done to that building since it was built. I don't know, do I have claim to go back to him and say, I bought this building under false pretenses? But, we've put about $2.25 million in that building. And, we have 61 offices and 1,700 agents and a $2 million budget. Recognition is 90% of our business. I own 2 buildings. I own the one across the street, which of course has been vacant now since we moved over to this building, and I pay about $70,099 in city tax, real estate taxes, and another $90,000 in taxes on 2 other buildings I own in Troy Township. It's on Essington Road and over on Waterstone Way. I mean, if frontage wasn't an issue for us, we put that office in Waterstone. That's our corporate office. We don't rely on walk-in business. We don't rely on people knowing where we're at, because the people that work for us that have to come there for whatever reason are part of our company. I thought that was the idea of a variance. We worked with the bank very closely in coming up with this, and their main thing was, you can't block our sign. And I said, that's how the height came about. That's how, where it's located. And, Rodney says, it created issue. I don't think Speedway is going to object to people turning in there, putting gas in their car. I've got a couple managers here that gas their cars there all the time. In fact, I brought one of the managers in from Geneva, Illinois, who just recently we sold a house to in Shorewood. So our commitment to Shorewood, we try to show our commitment when we go into a community by buying the property and showing we're not just there to fly by night. We're here and we're putting our money in the community and that. I think the variances we're asking for, and as far as if you're going north and would have to turn or want to turn, you could actually make a U-turn there and come back around and enter at the bank entrance then on Capista. So I think that the purpose of variances is to ask for something like this. That sign, excluding the brickwork, stonework, and electric, is $50,000. So we're going to have $75,000 in this sign. You know, we wouldn't be putting it on an easement that tomorrow we were going to be asked to move it off. I mean, we've got a really good agreement between the bank and ourselves. And we did that when the bank said, show us what your ideas are before we say, yes, we'd be willing to do it. And they approved the two different styles of sign that we proposed. That's how come it's taken a while to get here. But all the while, when we bought that building, put our good money up into it, and took a building that was deteriorating rapidly. In fact, the beauty shop will tell you they're about ready to leave because it was so bad. You know, we replaced fences that were falling down. Spent a lot of money there. So I know that that doesn't make any difference as far as planner goes or that, but these are my concerns, and these are the reasons I'm asking for it. You know, we've invested a ton of money in Shorewood, and long before it was Shorewood, it was Troy. I had family live there. We come and bail them out every couple of years along the water down there. So I've been in Shorewood a long time, and like I said, we spent a lot of tax dollars just in real estate, and I've never run into this situation. We have 61 offices. We own 40 of the buildings, so it's really tough to come into almost like your own hometown and get told that this is a problem.
Well, it's been through our process, and it's been flagged by the board and by our staff as been as unpresentable or
I understand that, but that's what I said. I thought that's...
This board, and I can only speak for myself, and Mr. Luciano seems to think that, or we all want to help you, or at least most of us do. We're not trying to hurt you, and we just want to resolve this.
Well, I don't think the bank is going to, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Dad, I apologize. I don't think the bank is going to approve a multi-level sign that's going to take they've got their monument sign that is precedent to them. That's why this sign was created, so in no way it would visibly block anything from them. And the reason it's placed where it is, it's almost in the middle of Lot 4. It was placed there because there's electric panel boxes right there. We've checked with ComEd. I said we could put a meter out there, so it'd be free of the bank and all. And the lease agreement on the bank, which I haven't got a copy of because, again, we didn't we know what the bases are and what our terms are, and it would go with the building. So it won't be going with Coldwell Banker. It'll go with the ownership of the building. You know, I just ask you to consider our situation. I mean, I could go back to Joliet and move people back into my Essington Road facility. I can throw my tenants out over on Caton Farm Road and move back into that building and be in Joliet and not Shorewood, but that wasn't our intention.
Well, you know, we want to work this out some way, hopefully. We can't take action on it tonight. So I would suggest if you could, you know, get with the staff and Mr. Collada and see if we can work out an alternative and maybe get back to us in 2 weeks for our committee of the whole. You know, we could discuss that a little bit more there. But as far as
I
tonight,
understand, you know, I'm not, it's going against what the recommendation of the zoning board is, but that's been done many, many times. And as far as off-site, as driving here, guys, I passed 3 off-site signs driving here. I mean, just the construction company right out here is all off-site property. They don't own that property out here where these big 8x8 signs are. Sherwood Storage has got a sign right on the corner, and they're 6 blocks in. So, I mean, it's not unheard of, and you guys have got a precedent there already, so we're not breaking precedent.
I'm not, the sign itself is fine. It's the location of the sign that I have the issue with. I think the better preference would be the Dunkin' Donuts location. Or if you can work something out with the bank, put a newer sign there, you can all coexist that way.
I
It's
believe
just the
like-
location. I don't think it does
Like
any
Rodney
good
said,
where
though,
that
that
is.
property's owned by somebody else. For us to go,
Can we reach out to
even know who
that owner? Because maybe
Dunkin'-
those
I don't know who
businesses
Dunkin'
want
Donut,
signs
who the
too.
owners are,
I'm sure we can figure that out. We can
you know?
find out.
You
who
know,
the
guys,
owners
I've been there 2.5 years, and, you know, we just put Matt Hatchett in there and made a good deal with them because there's no signage. And I told him at that time, that we had applied to the village. They're doing phenomenal. You know what? But again, theirs is a direct product that they've been working on building for 3 years, giving it away. We spend money advertising, and hopefully when people see the sign, there's recall like there was a McDonald's sign, but we can't stay there if we can't get some kind of help there. And whether that means,
I'll agree with everybody else. I don't agree with the location of the sign. I think it's in a wrong spot. I think there's going to be future problems for not just you guys, the bank, this gas station. If you're trying to direct flow of traffic through the bank parking lot, now I think you're opening the can of worms as to who's responsible for asphalt, who's responsible for damage to the lot if there's that many cars. You referenced the U-Haul sign being an off-site property as a sign being located.
I didn't say U-Haul.
Whichever the rental facility you just referenced. Same thing, they're on the corner of Earl and Route 52 with Jefferson Street. So it's on a hard corner. So going back to, as everybody else referenced, I think closer to the Capista Drive and Route 59 is a more appropriate location for this sign. I'm not opposed to the sign. I'm not opposed to a variance on the height or something of that nature to make it work. But the location, I do feel, is an inappropriate location.
okay.
Just my opinion. I know it's up for just a discussion aspect, but I'd rather just be upfront and honest with everybody.
I just wanted to be honest with you guys and tell you our feeling. We bought that building that was falling apart and bought it because we thought we could have a sign on that corner. So if the village could provide that, it's on our survey.
yeah.
We'll provide the survey.
The sign on that corner, the corner of the Dunkin' Donuts is where you
Yes.
assumed it. That's where we think
I
it would be
understand, but
best.
it's not. I heard that was taken out because it was part of a PUD and it was eliminated by the village.
But it's still there.
I think
Rod already stated
I
that
think our
that was
staff
still
could work
there.
on this. And
The easement is still there for the sign? There can't be an easement there if they don't own it.
All it says is a landscape easement, okay? There's not clearly an easement on the plat or right to the sign. Again, what I wanted to point out is we found the reference to the discussion about the sign being on the corner. We found a design for the sign that was envisioned for the corner. And again, that's the right place to put it. The owner of that property, unless we can dig up some other document, easement, or set of covenants that provides for it, Ed would need to get a, grant of easement from that property owner. So we'd have to work on that.
It's taken me 2 years to work this agreement out, so I'm not gonna sit back there for another 2 years and not get any relief.
Been working with the bank for 2 years to get this easement agreement?
Yes, because there was a change in management at the bank, and I had a meeting with the president of the bank and the executive vice president that signed the easement and worked out what that would be. And it's like a life of easement as long as that goes with that property. But you know what? And I don't disagree that everybody's idea that southbound traffic, by the time they see that sign, they're going to be turning there anyway. But remember, all the northbound traffic is going right up to that corner. So all the northbound traffic's got half a block to get to that corner going north. The person that came out, when we insured that building, the person came out to try to find that building for the insurance company to inspect it, ended up on Interstate 55 and Route 59. Went back and forth, came back again at 59. It's just a tough place to find because, first of all, half the people can't find Capista Drive. And with no marker there, they have no idea what the address is on.
But the address is actually, the original address was Capista
Yes.
Drive. You requested it to be changed,
Right,
correct?
right, we did, yes, Dan.
So,
But now they still go by, there's no building there, there's no way of identifying that that's where we're at. I don't know.
Well, I think we should be able to send this back to staff, let them do a little work.
Okay.
If we can put this off for 2 weeks to a month.
Ed,
And
do you have anything to say? I mean, Ed,
maybe our staff could work something out with the tenant or the landlord of the Dunkin' Donuts Plaza. Give it a shot anyway.
Yeah.
It's been this long, I don't think another 2 to 4 weeks is gonna.
a couple of years with it,
Yeah,
No,
well,
I'm saying even the tenants at Dunkin', all those tenants might be interested in doing
Yeah.
something.
We sure don't want to tell you guys no. And, we got to try and work it out, make it work, so.
It wasn't like we're trying to cut corners, guys.
Oh,
They said
I know,
put 70,000
but
on
we
the
just,
side is
I think the
least,
consensus is that at the corner might be a little better. Let's try and make that play out and see what happens, and if we can't, we can always revisit this, you know? Right now, it's coming in as a denial from
What
the
if I
zoning and staff.
negotiated something with the bank where we did their sign totally and we became part of that? It's still gonna be off-site. I'm still off-site. I'm a different owner.
I don't think the offsite is the big stickler.
Right.
I think it's the location.
All right, if you can make, if, I think I'd be good with just, if you can redo the bank sign to
I
make it
mean,
more.
I don't know. I doubt
Right,
there'd be
it's
one we
still
have
up
a
in the
monument
air,
sign
but
for.
make it a
My
multi-sign
real estate
there.
sign on their
I don't
monument
see an
sign.
issue, but.
You know, I
Like,
think
that
the
was
best
be-
thing is if you get together with Rod, you can get this squared away, we can come back with something and get it expedited. What we're doing right now is just discussing it, it's not gonna go any further than this right now. He has the answers, and they can work it out for you.
We, like I said,
And
we sure don't wanna
appreciate,
kill
you
it.
know, your dilemma, but it's not gonna do any good, keep talking about it now. He can solve the problem if there's a problem to be
Solve
solved.
it. It's all up to, Rodney was my next door neighbor for
let's be-
30 years.
let's
so
be
listen,
clear,
I should be able to
so-
slap him around and get. Okay.
We will do the best we can, okay, to work on it, and we can certainly do some more research, and we can talk about who the property owners are and try to connect the parties and do everything we can on the staff level to encourage that to happen, and we'll see what comes out of it.
That's what we're asking.
All right.
So you want to see a sign redesigned to go on Dunkin' Donut property, is that what you're saying with?
I think that
12 tenants in
location, I think that location would be better.
We'll work through that. It's
I don't
really
know about
about
that, but-
securing, can
I
we
think you ought
secure
to
the
wait.
Let's
location?
figure out let's figure out if we can get that
Let's see what you
location
can do
established
before you
first.
start redesigning it. I would think, talk to him and see where he.
How about
comes
if we move to the north end of the bank property?
Like I said, you think you're better off,
That would- Let's talk about it and
talk about it.
yep, see what we can figure out.
All right, guys, thank you.
This, Rod's,
We're gonna go on to number 3, consideration for,
second, I just want, Rod, Rodney, is this your last meeting or no, you still got more? I wanted to make sure we thanked you and congratulated you. I didn't know if this
I'll be
was
here
your.
in future meetings, so,
You've done a
yep.
fantastic
Thank you.
job since
Yep.
you filled in, so I just wanted to make sure.
Appreciate
that
it. I'll
I
be
got-
back at future dates for sure, so.
Trying to encourage you, Rod.
He wanted to get that on camera that said you were coming back, that's why.
Yeah.
move on to 3, consideration for approval of a proposal with PT Farrell Construction Company to perform additional concrete work, asphalt repairs, including Black Road Bike Path, River to Wildflower, in the amount of $87,630, and to waive the bid process. Chris Dre?
Thank you, trustee Anderson again. This is for some additional work. Every MFT year, we try to find some additional work. This additional items is about over 1,500 foot of sidewalk and a good amount of curb. It also, in this bid, includes the bike path that we budgeted for on Black Road from River Road to Wildflower. We also have some some sidewalk being replaced on Route 59 between the bridge deck over the DuPage River and East Shore. Staff and the engineers have reviewed this and feel that that's a decent price. They've given us the quantity of what they bid for the work. The difference is the traffic control. There's a lot of it because we're going to be going throughout different areas of town with the list that we have. But we feel it's a good package to bring forward.
And the material and the bid, or the,
Specifications, all the quantities.
they're all
all the-
honoring what they've done in the past with the MFT
Right.
work earlier this year.
There's a little bit more work with the bike path. That's the oddity because of a little bit less production and a smaller machine to pave it, but that works out with the.
They're matching their unit price from MFT, right?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve a proposal of PT Farrell Construction to perform additional concrete work, asphalt repairs, including Black Road, Bike Path, River to Wildflower, in the amount of $87,630, waive the formal bid process.
Second.
He's got-
Diane, will you do roll call, please?
DeBold.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Kirkland.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
And Brockman.
Yes.
All right, number 3 is approved. Number 4, consideration for approval of agreement with Lower DuPage Watershed Group for regional water study with the Illinois State Water Survey. Chris Dray.
Thank you. This is a group that a lot of the communities around us and we belong to, we're part of actually the Lower DuPage River Watershed. This group, though, will be able to facilitate the water, the State Water Survey plan that we had talked about at the last committee of the whole. This is a regional water supply study and takes in consideration our area, a little bit into Grundy County and around us. The big concern, even though we are looking and working on the Lake Michigan water pipeline, is how long is the aquifer available after everybody does get off it, if we need to go back to it for a backup supply. So there's some benefits there, plus if communities aren't ready to make a decision, this will help guide them. So regionally, it's just a good effort for us. The total payment for the 3 years is $9,798. We have the first invoice. Upon your approval, we'll process that on our next.
Yeah,
budget.
it's
Our
like
meeting.
$3,300 a year. We talked about it last meeting. And then, I don't remember all the towns, but a lot of the towns around us were jumping on this too, weren't they?
Yes. So we're working with the City of Joliet, Village of Romeoville, Frankfurt, Lockport, Crest Hill, Lamont, Shorewood, Manhattan, Monuca, Shanahan. We're not sure, we haven't heard from Rockdale or Elwood at this point, but Will County is budgeting for it.
Yeah.
We also believe New Lenox, Mokina, Bolingbrook, Homer Glen, Plainfield, most of them are going to participate with the study, even though they're on Lake Michigan water, but most of them carry a backup well, so they're concerned on the availability. We also have, we had Lyondell and Exxon at the meeting today industrially, so they're supporting the program also.
So you got all the big players and it's a regional thing, so, you know, it's a good thing, so.
Are all those towns committed to this already? I mean, that's a question I had asked when you brought this up.
Right, so far, the only two we didn't hear from is Rockdale and Elwood.
So the towns that are already on Lake Michigan water or getting Lake
No,
Michigan water?
the towns on.
The last
in blue.
floor, New Lenox, Manuka, Bolingbrook.
Yeah,
Homer
Mokina,
Glen,
Bolingbrook,
Plainfield.
Homer Glen. We've heard from 3 of them that they are committed in participating, even though their primary, Bolingbrook has no deep wells, so they are concerned, though, just as a regional player, I believe is, from
And
what I've
then this
understood so
study
far.
is right now, so.
The study will begin once all the group gets formalized, the agreement needs to be made. We need to sign just an acceptance that we're going, you know, we'll be in this for 3 years, and then all the other communities, so it should start
So
in
the
the next
study,
couple
the
months.
study that they do will last how many years that it'll be good for?
They'll look into the future. Right now, they're modeling out to 2050, which is one of
They'll be
the,
able to tell us what the aquifer will be like from now until 2050?
that's part of the plan, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Other questions?
Make a motion to approve an agreement with the Lower DuPage Watershed Group for a regional water study with the Illinois State Water Survey.
Second.
Diane, roll call.
Brockman.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Kirkland.
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
And DeBold.
Yes.
All right, item number 4 is passed. Item 5, consideration for approval of a resolution authorizing the purchase of real estate. This is Edgewater Lot 265. Mr. Colada.
Thank you. So what's before you is this purchase contract that's been prepared with the Kennedys. They own a .23 acre parcel on Richards Drive. So this is a residential street. This lot is unimproved except for a path which takes you from Richards sidewalk basically into the Trinity Christian property and actually a village park as well. So there's an existing path on this property. So what has been proposed is $15,000 for the village to purchase this property.
And this was all discussed earlier.
Yeah, I
in
know
the
we
month.
discussed this earlier, so I mean, we got a park on the property and a bike path, so. I'll make the motion to consider the approval of resolution authorizing the purchase of real estate Edgewater Lot 265.
Second.
And roll call.
Kirkland,
Yes.
DeBold,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
And Warren.
Yes.
All right, item 5 is approved. We're going to go on to reports. I'm up first with Public Works, a couple quick things. Public Works, we've been working on stump grinding, removing the ash tree stumps. Got approximately 150 stumps left to go, but it's been a little slower process than expected. Due to the wet spring we've had, we haven't been able to fill the holes up with dirt until it dries out a little more, so that'll be coming. Marking the holes with cones, so just be aware. 52 in River Paving and Restoration, that remains. Bridge staining also has to will continue or has to be done. Couple of weeks to finish that up. That intersection's looking really good, even though it has been a pain in our rear ends for the last 6 or 8 months. MFT is moving forward. Galloway North and West have been completed. Asphalt removal in the area took place today. And the asphalt in the MFT, they should be starting to lay it here by the end of the week. And then River Road, a lot of curb work is going on River Road and some drain repair and replacement. And then the other thing is, it's also been added, River Road north of Black. We had a little leftover money in our MFT program, so we're gonna finish River Road north of Black all the way to the city of Joliet line. So that's, I don't know if everybody knew all that or not, but it's on there. That's extra money, and if there's any other questions, give us a call, Public Works at 815-553-2321. That's all I have. Trustee Brockman for Planning and Zoning.
Thank you, Dan. Pretty sure the first Wednesday in June is June 5th, so that'll be our next meeting. We have 2 agenda items presently, sign variance at People's First Bank and site plan for Rhino Baseball, which is on, is that address Capista back there or no?
A different one.
That's a different one, but it's
On a court.
what we were
Right,
talking
right.
about tonight.
Yeah,
So.
it's back in there. Yeah.
And then the entire group got to meet Kelly Chrissy for the first time, and we were all happy about that, and thanked Rod for his admirable work he has done for over a year now, and so I guess you're going to be around a little bit longer, so we'll thank you some more later, so. So that's my report, thank you.
All right, thanks. Trustee Kirkland, Parks and Recreation.
Thank you. Summer registration is now open. Early bird deadline for summer camp has been extended through May 24th. This year's Earth Day Arbor Day celebration brought participants together to help plant a tree here at the Town Center Park, and we also removed trash from around the pond. The Fields of Caton Farm donated a beautiful red point maple tree which came from Morton Arboretum. Public Works had the tree and ground prep for us and ready for our volunteers to bury the tree. Thank you to the Girl Scouts, Senator Bertino Tarrant, and many other generous community members for spending their Sunday with us in honor of Earth Day and Arbor Day. Upcoming events, Memorial Day, May 27th. Our annual Memorial Day celebration will be held on Monday, May 27th, starting at 6 p.m. The celebration will be at our Veterans Memorial located out here at the Town Center Park near the Village Hall. Join us for a ceremony in remembrance of those who have secured our freedoms. And also the car show is coming June 1st. Saturday, June 1st at CNE's Four Seasons Park, we will have our annual car show open to all classic, modified, stock cars and trucks. Registration will be from 9 to 11 and the show begins at 10. Spectators are free and entry fee with a vehicle is $10. Goodie bags and dash plaques will be available for the first 100 entries, and all will be entered in for the People's Choice Awards. And that concludes my report.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Trustee Luciano, Citizens Advisory.
The Citizens Advisory Committee will be meeting Thursday, May 23rd, at the second floor at the Village Hall at 7 p.m. We encourage any resident who'd like to attend to come and see the meeting or join in the meeting. If you know anyone that's interested, or if you're interested in getting involved with the committee, we'd appreciate that you contact me through the village website. That's all I have.
All right. Okay, thanks, everybody. Now we'll move on to administration of oath of offices. We'll begin with clerk. Deputy clerk's going to swear in the clerk. Deputy Clerk Dolny.
Taking mine off now.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Diane Lambert,
I, Diane Lambert,
having been elected to the position of clerk,
having been elected to the
position of clerk for the Village of Shorewood,
for the Village of Shorewood,
County of Will,
County of Will,
and State of Illinois,
and State of Illinois,
aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the ordinances of the Village of Shorewood,
and the ordinances of the Village of Shorewood,
and that I will faithfully discharge my duties
and I will faithfully discharge my duties
of the office of clerk
of the office of clerk
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So you can do whoever you'd like. Okay, Mr. Luciano.
All right, we'll go on to trustees. All right, Mr. Luciano, you're next.
What's your good side?
Have one.
Would you please raise your right hand? I, Anthony Luciano,
I, Anthony Luciano,
having been elected to the position of trustee
having been elected to the position of trustee
for the Village of Shorewood,
for the Village of Shorewood,
County of Will,
County of Will,
State of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
aforesaid,
aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of
the
Illinois,
Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the ordinances of the Village of Shorewood,
and the ordinances of the Village of Shorewood,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of trustee
of the office of trustee
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Barbara?
Mrs. Kirkland, you're next.
I'm kidding. Oh. Would you raise your right hand, please? I, Barbara Kirkland,
I, Barbara Kirkland,
have been elected to the position of trustee
having been elected to the position of trustee
for the Village of
for the
Shorewood,
Village of Shorewood,
County of Will,
County of Will,
and State of Illinois,
and State of Illinois,
aforesaid,
aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the ordinances of the Village of Shorewood,
and the ordinances of the Village of Shorewood,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of trustee to the best of my ability.
of the office of trustee to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
Mr. Brockman.
last but not least, Trustee Brockman.
Should know it by now.
I, Steve Brockman,
I, Steve Brockman,
having been elected to the position of trustee
having been elected to the position of trustee
for
for the Village of Shorewood,
for the Village of Shorewood,
County of Will,
County of Will,
and State of Illinois,
and State of Illinois,
aforesaid,
aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United
that
States,
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the ordinances of the Village of Shorewood,
and the ordinances of the Village of Shorewood,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of trustee
of the office of trustee
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right. Got everybody sworn in. Any, all the reappointed trustees, you got anything to say?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody who, first of all, I would like to thank everyone who went out and voted on April 2nd. Even though it was an uncontested election, I appreciate you taking the time, or appreciating everybody taking the time to go out and do that. I appreciate the fact that I've been able to serve on this board for the last 4 years. I'm looking forward to the next 4 years in addressing the challenges that face the village as far as getting Lake Michigan water and economic development. And with that, I would thank everybody.
Kirkland?
Thank you. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my family and friends for their unconditional love and support. I would also like to thank the residents of Shorewood for allowing me the honor of serving our village for 4 more years. We have some big projects and decisions to work through that will affect our village for many years to come, and I'm excited to be a part of the decision-making process. As always, I promise to continue my service to the village with honesty and integrity. Thank you.
Brockman.
Thank you. Since I'm a terrible public speaker, I wrote this out, so hope you can bear with me. After being sworn in and heard that thunderous applause, and believe it or not, that reminded me of a little incident that happened back in August of 1969 in the little town of Bethel, New York. Most everyone here tonight, except for a very few of us, are a little too young to remember the infamous 3-day outdoor music festival called Woodstock. About halfway through the first day, or it might have been the second, it gets a little hazy now after 50 years. The owner of the property was named Max Yasgur, got up on stage and announced that he was a farmer and instantly received a 2-minute standing ovation from the more than 250,000 kids that were gathered on his farm. I still consider myself a farmer, despite being semi-retired, and up until tonight, I believe this was the first time a farmer got an applause for anything since that 1969 music festival. Certainly want to thank you for that. Ralph Waldo Emerson stated that nothing great happens without enthusiasm. Although I don't outwardly show it most of the time, I have tremendous amount of enthusiasm for this community, for the people that live here, for the staff that has been assembled, all the employees that work tirelessly for the village, for our new village administrator, and for this board that has been assembled. From what I have observed, I believe the rest of my fellow board members have that same enthusiasm as well, or they wouldn't be up here. Back in 1994, former Mayor Bertha Hofer challenged both my wife and I to get involved. In her own words, you need to serve your community in some way. My wife volunteered to be on the initial meeting of Citizens Advisory Committee and served there faithfully until she passed away on May 16th of 2012. I sought the position and was appointed to Planning and Zoning in the spring of 2000 and served there under the great leadership of its chairman, Trustee Gary Fitzgerald, for 11 years. I successfully won a seat on the village board in 2011 after running for a trustee's positions 3 separate times, and on the 3rd time, winning by a vote differential of just 10 votes. Over 19 years of service to this community thus far, and have enjoyed every day, and God willing, will enjoy the 4 more years I have as village trustee. I do want to thank Trustee Kirkland and Trustee Luciano for making the commitment this time as well, as all the other board members, for stepping up the last time to serve this community, and want to wish all of you the best over what I know will be a very important 4 years in all of our lives and for the residents of this village. I'm certain we'll disagree on some issues, but in the end, what is best for the village should be the most important aspect of any village trustee. I don't really have to tell any of you that because, in my opinion, that's exactly what happens here every time we meet. Whether it's a 2-hour public hearing with our fellow residents lined up out the door telling us how crazy we are or telling us we're totally wrong about something, or honoring a group of young people on a major sport or academic accomplishment, executive sessions where an unpleasant decision has to be made, sometimes even a pleasant one, late night budget meetings, or spending over $1 million as we did tonight like it was nothing at a usual board meeting. What's best for the village has always been the main theme, and my hope is that will continue, and hope that our residents recognize that as well. There's an old quote from Franklin Roosevelt that states, and I've used this before, but smooth seas never made a skilled sailor. I think we've all been through some rough seas over the past few years, but hopefully we all have become better trustees because of it, and look forward to the next 4 years with great enthusiasm, hoping for calm waters and what will most likely be my last term as a village trustee. Finally, I do want to thank all the people that came out and took the time, gave me their vote. I really appreciate that very much. So thank you very much.
That's it. Thanks for everybody for coming out. We're in line for adjournment.
No.
Oh, yeah. Executive session. We will adjourn from there. We'll have no business or after that, so. All right, roll call. We go in.
If you read the exception.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go into executive session before we
Yeah, I got going on here. Diane, I'm sorry, I forgot about you. Go ahead.
Mine's just a very quick thank you. I was appointed to the position 2 years ago by Mayor Chapman, and then I ran for the position. Although unopposed, I definitely appreciated that people came out and voted for me. You know, makes you feel really good. They don't, you know, it only took one vote for us to get in, and it was nice to see the community and the residents stand behind us. Much of my appreciation goes to Tony Dolney. She's like walked me through this. And some people say it's a glorified secretary, which that comment comes from me, but she guides me and puts a lot into it, make sure that everything's done according to Hoyle. I'd like to thank the board. They've been wonderful working with me, and also all the staff members have been great too, just giving me the reports and making sure everything's done properly. And thanks to Jim Collada, because he's our new administrator, and he's also very nice to work with. So. Yeah.
Diane, and sorry for forgetting
that's
about
all right.
you over there. All right, we're going to executive session, and we're going to go in for purchase or sale of land, and no action to be taken after that. And we'll adjourn from that meeting.
I'll make the motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Okay. Diane, roll
Was
call.
it
He second. Or Tony second.
Luciano?
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
DeBold?
Yes.
Anderson? Kirkland?
Yes.
And Brockman.
Yeah, 5 minutes and we'll